This is my completely honest review of Nomad Capitalist Live 2025. We'll break it down in two steps: the speakers, the keynote presentations, and the networking, right? Because those are the two main reasons why people will want to go there. I'll start with the slides, and I actually really enjoyed them. That was the main reason I personally went. I'm obviously in the field of taxation and international structuring, so I wanted to learn more about this stuff. And I'll be honest, the tax talks were a bit superficial when it came to content. So the content wasn't really deep and very technical, but it gave a lot of insights. So the presentations I took the most value out of were the ones talking about maybe geopolitics or the direction that the world is going in, right? Or where to invest, emerging markets. How do you invest in emerging markets? A very interesting thing Mark Mobius was talking about was that emerging markets, emerging opportunities he talks about, that's where all the money is to be made. So funnily enough, the S&P actually outperformed the emerging market index, but the reason for that wasn't because the USA had a stronger internal economy. It's because the companies within the United States actually invested more in the emerging markets, right? So for example, Apple's production and Netflix production, they're starting investing outside of the United States and in these emerging markets. And then the speaker lineup was just very good. A couple of familiar faces like Sadia Khan. She's very famous, and Sadia Khan was talking about how international relationships actually have lower chance of succeeding. Steve Wozniak obviously was there, co-founder of Apple, the probably most iconic company of our time, and he was there just on stage talking to the founder of Nomad Capitalist. It was overall a great experience, and at least from the point of view of the talks. So when it comes to the networking, because that's the other reason why everyone went, right? It was either to learn from the slides or to network, not really much else. And when it comes to the networking, for me, networking is very overrated. I think that if you have something to sell, if you have something interesting that you're building, you're gonna be able to get value from networking, right? You're gonna be able to share what you're doing and share what you've built. Whereas if you haven't built anything, no one's gonna want to talk to you. Why would someone want to talk to you when you haven't built anything? They're not interested in you. Imagine you, a nobody, you go to an event and you're trying to network with people who are making loads of money or who are miles ahead of you. They might want to talk to you, but they might want to help you, and that's the way you should approach networking, and that's the way I approached networking at this event. I was talking to these people wildly more successful than me and asking them for tips and trying to understand how they did things, why they do things the way they do them, because obviously it's working. So that's the networking aspect, and we had plenty of time to network. I think it was done very, very well. So when the talks were on, you had loads of tables in the ballroom, and each table could seat 6 different people, and we were always changing. We were always sat at a new table, we were meeting new people, and it was really good. And the level of people at the event was also really nice. Just the fact that someone would spend $3,000 on an event is all right, but then you had the premium tickets that were going for $28K. From the networking point of view, it was great. This is coming from a person who doesn't really rate networking. I'd rather build and focus on my own thing, and then obviously the door is always going to be open to network if you build something, right? If you build the next Apple, people are going to want to talk to you, so the networking door is always open. But I can't argue with the fact that even the networking was really good. You had a lot of opportunities. The event was made in a way so that networking was quite easy. Now, I want to touch on the learning aspect for me personally. So as I mentioned, I'm in the field of taxation, of consulting, and I came there to try and learn as many things as possible and to learn a few things that I could implement inside my own business, and maybe ways I could make my client structures a bit more solid. And there was only really one person that had a lot of technical knowledge, I guess, aside from the founder, but he wasn't really mingling around, and I got a lot from him. I was the presentations weren't as technical because it was almost like a sales pitch, the whole event, for people who have got loads of money and are paying loads of taxes, and they've got grey hair and they want to retire somewhere else, get a second citizenship. So for them, they probably made loads of money off the event, not just with tickets, but through upselling them on their program, and it starts at $28,000 just for the initial consultation. Is something crazy, right? But I think the event was more targeted towards people, not towards other tax consultants and tax companies, but more towards people who actually needed the service. So again, I thought that they were gatekeeping quite a bit of information. I was talking to a few people and I was asking, for example, example about a certain relocation in Indonesia. And I was excited, you know, we can get technical, talk tax, but I thought they were gatekeeping. So what does this mean? They were like, yeah, are you interested? Do you want to do it? Or are you just asking because you're curious? And when I told them that I was curious, they almost dismissed it. They were like, yeah, this is what we get paid for, and we charge like 90 grand for this service. So if you want, you can pay it. Like, and I was like, what the hell? I'm just asking you for information. But yeah, I guess they assumed I was trying to get information out of them. I don't know. I thought it was a networking event. There was one guy from their team who was really helpful to speak to. He was very knowledgeable when it came to like tax. He knew all the technicalities, and I was asking him how to build substance, what were the best companies for solopreneurs, for example, for remote workers, because a lot of these people at the event, they had brick and mortar businesses. They like had 50-year-old businesses, and I'm here, you know, with my clients, like you watching, for example, maybe you're a solopreneur, maybe you've got a couple contractors here and there. I was like, hey, how do you build substance? How do you make structure solid? Because it's hard, you know. Obviously you can have a holding company in the Cayman Islands or the British Virgin Islands, but you need substance. You need like a director over there. Maybe you're not in a position where you can hire a director. He was saying how you can still do it without hiring a director in one of these companies. So like there are actually cheaper alternatives. So all in all, it was a very positive experience. The networking, I think if you're going there to network, if you rate networking, if you need networking, absolutely a great event to go to for 2.5K, 3K, absolutely worth it. I recommend you stay at the hotel as well. We were at the hotel. It made things so much easier. We didn't have to leave at the end of the night. We don't have to like wake up, come back in. We could just wake up and go down and have breakfast. When it comes to the presentations, if you know completely nothing about taxation and international taxation, if you've got a lot of money and you're looking to learn this stuff, it's probably worth it. For someone like me who's trying to build their online business, if you're in the field of taxation, of accounting, it's a nice event to go to. I would go again if it was my first time, if I hadn't been yet. So if you haven't been yet, I do recommend you go. It's like very cheap, you know, relative to the value that you're getting. I don't know if I would go again. A lot of people say that they'd go again for the networking and for all, you know, that stuff. I think if I go again, it'll be because of new speakers and new content. Maybe it's going to be enticing enough for me to want to go, maybe it's not. But for me, I don't really rate networking that much yet. Maybe things will change. The keynote speakers and the presentations is what is really going to have to sell it for me next year. This year it did. Super grateful I went. It was a great event. I learned a lot. It was very interesting. By listening to some people who had gone to the event last year, they said that the slides and the keynotes were all pretty much the same and very similar. You had different citizenships, different residency programs, obviously every year. A few of them open, a few of them close, like it's completely normal. They said that what brought them coming back was the networking. So I reckon who should go to this event? If you've got a lot of money and you don't know a lot about taxes, then I recommend you go. If you don't know a lot about second citizenships, residencies, definitely go. If networking is your thing and you want to network with high level people, absolutely your thing, go. If you're a small business owner, then I would go once. If you've not been, I would say go and check it out. Even if you're like a solopreneur and you're making like relatively good money, let's say maybe multiple six figures, I would go. It's a very good learning curve. I think this stuff you need to know, it'll get you more knowledgeable. So I definitely recommend you go. And if you have your own tax and accounting business, which, you know, probably not, because there's not a lot of people who are doing that stuff. I don't know, maybe drop me a comment if you are one of those. Then it's up to you. You need to be able to build your own value when it comes to this stuff, because you're not going to be given information on a silver platter. This is not going to happen. You're going to have to go out of your way to speak with the experts and even face a bit of rejection. I think there's definitely value at least one time, even if you're building, even if you're trying to learn something, even if you're trying to learn the technical side of it, there are people who will be able to help you. You just need to find them and chase them down and talk to them. And trust me, it was not easy. I dropped like 6 questions in the fishbowl for them to read in the Q&A. They only read 2 of them, so then I had to go and find the guy I wanted to talk to. I stopped him and he had like 5 people, you know, chasing after him. It was like a crazy thing. I guess to summarize, if you've not been yet, go. 100% recommend it. It was a great event. Multiple reasons. Again, people might want to go for the networking, people might want to go to learn new stuff. Either way, I think it's a great event. For what it costs, it's definitely worth it.